Hello everyone, it's Jamal Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. Hope everyone is doing okay this morning. I am beginning to run on fumes. I've been here all night. I wasn't planning on doing videos yesterday and I ended up late last night puttering about and decided, why not? I'm nearby. Let's get on. My wife was asleep. Everybody else in the house was asleep. So I decided to do the news. And I've been sitting here doing the news all night. I'm about to go out and help her with stuff for the trip whenever she wakes up. So until she wakes up, let's do some news. Insomniacs Theater or Insomniac Thomas in the morning. So I don't do articles like this all that often because often I don't necessarily know whether or not my audience likes these. And despite whether they like it or not, I do some because I think they're necessary. It's somewhat of a call to arms for those of us who are bothered by this. I consider this to be Armageddon, which is why I titled it Armageddon. I consider it to be the end of all things. There's an asteroid that's going to hit the planet. Now, when I say there's an asteroid that's going to hit the planet, I try to use that as an allegory to put people's mind onto this idea of there's something that is happening that we need to be aware of. Or in this case, climate. Issues of climate. Destabilization from the things that we are doing on this planet. Things that we are pulling out of the ground and burning into the sky in order to heat ourselves and put it, electricity and energy, etc. Animal ag is also part of this. But I'm making the point that we are doing things that is fundamentally destabilizing our habitable space. It is an Armageddon, and we need to be very clear on this. What takes place from the standpoint of climate and what we're doing about this is not right or wrong. It's right or wrong in relation to whether or not we want to exist on this planet. The Earth will be here. The Earth doesn't care one iota. I care because I don't necessarily want to be rubbed out of existence. I can see, looking at how we ourselves are behaving, magnificently irrational. I'm not picking on my wife, but my wife will I'm going to get my hair done. And I keep thinking to myself, oh my God, this world is coming to an end and nobody cares. Now, I can look at these other older civilizations and people wonder, how on earth did these civilizations that seem so advanced and complex for their time go out of existence? And they say that kind of without this completely unself-aware of the reality to which they exist. Where mainstream scientific thought is that we are destroying and killing ourselves. And people putter about, going about their day, getting their mani-pedis, playing their Xbox, listening to their YouTube videos. I suppose, like now, back then, you had all of these people with various responsibilities, and no one had the one responsibility that actually mattered, saving them from oblivion. And this is where we are. How do you like capitalism? How is it doing it for you? Now, I say that to say that we believe scientists, we trust scientists on all measure of things. They build our house, they heat our homes, they make our cars drive, they write our computer software programs. I used to do that. They do all of these things. They explain our world. They explain how our planet is put together, how geothermal energy works, how the atom works, what takes place in our skies and in our galaxy. They explain all of these things to us. They put our satellites in the sky. Those satellites use relativistic equations with this idea of time and space not necessarily being these unimmutable things, that space itself can bend, that time itself can contract. and that those equations are necessary to make that satellite do what that satellite does. We trust them for these things. Physical matter reality, nothing esoteric. We trust them for these things. How did this thing that is in the realm of science, that has all of these scientists, like 90-something% on board saying yes, this is real, yes, this will be catastrophic, and yes, the warning signs are worse. This is not a situation of climate change or global warming is coming. It is an issue of it is here. And that the phenomena that you guys are experiencing, these fires, these wildfires. What was there? A fire in Greece? What the hell? Britain. Brutal heat. These hurricanes. That stuff is getting worse. And that stuff is a product of what we have been doing on this planet. The amazing part about this is that we've been doing this on this planet because there is a vested interest in making sure that the climate change science is not necessarily given the full-throatedness that it should be given. There's an asteroid that's about to hit the planet, and you have certain corporations that says it is better not to talk about that asteroid, or hey, maybe the science for that particular asteroid is not all that legitimate. We trust these scientists for all of these other things. But on this one particular issue, this specific issue became political because this specific issue deals with how certain people make billions of dollars and how those people who make billions of dollars use some of those billions of dollars to stuff into the pockets of these hack politicians who pretend as if they're backing the interests of the population when really they're backing the interests of the 1% and the people who stick money in their pocket and they open their mouths. And the politician receives the blessing of the plutocrat and goes out and does his bidding. It's bad enough on the Republican side. But in the face of something that is understood and accepted, again, mainstream science accepts this as being a legitimate reality that we are looking at oblivion. We are looking at being rubbed off this planet in large number and in large measure. The Democrat candidate who supposedly believes in science because it's the Republican Party that believes in fairy tales and religion. It is the Democratic Party that believes in the cold logic of science. But that person, in the face of oblivion, is pushing fracking all across the planet. A process that is even worse than the regular processes to get oil, seeing as it's pushing out methane that can hold more heat than the other processes. One of the issues with this, it goes beyond, by the way, temperatures. I mean, we're talking about the shutting down of the jet stream. We don't even know if there will be feedback mechanisms that will create spikes in which the temperature skyrockets, causing immediate destruction in certain areas, meaning certain spikes in the way that the temperature rises or the water level rises. We have no idea. We're in uncharted territory on a lot of this stuff. We're talking about refugees in massive numbers. We're talking about, it's a hellscape. I guess that's the point I'm trying to make. We don't know. But we have the Democratic candidate pushing in the face of this hellscape. Fracking. Where do you go to when both political parties are advocating for things that is going to lead to the destruction of you and your own? Where do you go? And can you kind of see the situation that these other societies, when they faced oblivion, having nobody having anything to say, quietly going into their good night, crying and screaming? It's a big deal. And it's weird how neither political party has anything to say about this big deal in any real, substantial, magnificent way that can head off what is literally Armageddon. It's literally Armageddon. us versus the elements. Let me read the story. And by the way, my point in this is there's a fiscal incentive to shut the fuck up about this. There's a fiscal incentive in the way that people make money, who makes that money, and what is being put into the pockets of politicians who are supposed to represent human beings. And yet, when they get into office, they do anything but. If we are not focused around science from the standpoint of a secular government, what the fuck are we focused around? What are they using to come up to some kind of conclusion to do something else as opposed to do something on this particular issue? When the media is out there howling about Russia, howler monkeys, Anderson Cooper faints on camera. Chuck Todd. All of these guys screaming that the president is treasonous. Oh, he's treasonous. Neville Chamberlain, 9/11. They just say these things, these words that have all of these loaded meanings. And they hurl them at Donald Trump. There's an asteroid that's about to hit your planet. You're scientists. The things or the people that created those things that you're hurling those things at the president on. Those reliable people, those reliable engineers are telling you that your world is about to hit an asteroid, that you are on the Titanic, that you need to do something about this. And the only thing you can talk about is fairy tales and unreal things. How do you deal with this? What do you do in this situation? And you bring this stuff up and they don't like to talk about it. Chris Hayes was asked on Twitter, hey, why don't you talk about stuff like this? He says, no one will watch. Oh, okay. Okay. You only talk about things that people watch. That in and of itself, the capitalistic impulse comes across with a problem by itself. Your society is incapable of dealing with the problems that your society needs to deal with because there is a capitalistic impulse to not deal with those things. Tell me you don't see it. Tell me you see a problem in that situation. And your governmental apparatus, the thing that's supposed to be the club that the public uses to beat these forces back. Remember, this idea of the Democrat, the capitalists, but with some lovers of control of the power of these things. We found that to be a farce. Because ultimately both of those parties are co-opted by the same forces that is fucking over the rest of everyone else. Let's take a look at the story. I'm bitching and I don't want to rant. "2018 is only halfway over, but troubling climate change trends is already apparent. Earth is in the midst of a 40-year-long accelerated warming trend spurred on by human-caused climate change, and 2018 isn't helping. Scientists at NASA's Goddard Institute and Columbia University showed this week that the average surface temperature on Earth between January and June this year is the third hottest half year on record since good record keeping began long ago in 1880. But the trend goes much deeper than that. The first half of the last 4 years, 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, all take the top hottest record January to June periods ever documented. A single record-breaking month can be telling, but is not as scientifically meaningful as these longer-term trends. When a record is broken once, it's a fluke. When it happens again, it's a coincidence. When it happens 3 times, it's a trend. But when it happens every single year, it's a movement. Sarah Green, an environmental chemist at Michigan Technology University, said over email. As the maps show, the heating trend is occurring all over the planet, showing the entire global climate has been disrupted by potent heat-trapping gases in the atmosphere, notably carbon dioxide. In a stable climate, one place is warmer than normal while another is colder, said Green. The GIS temp global map shows that it's no longer the case. It's hotter pretty much everywhere. This includes Earth's expansive oceans, which are much more absorbent of Earth's rocky surfaces. Over 90% of Earth's accumulating heat gets trapped by the seas. The inexorable heat of the seas is especially worrying, said Green. Land temperatures fluctuate with a shift in the wind direction or a passing cloud, but the increasing temperature of the surface oceans shows that the greenhouse gases are trapping more and more heat on Earth. Overall, January through June, temperatures during the first halves of the year, last 4 years, were about 2 degrees Fahrenheit, 1.1 degrees Celsius higher than the pre-industrial times, Makiko Sato, NASA GISS scientist, said over email. It shows global warming is really happening. Here's the thing, and this is kind of the point I want to make. In the face of what is a catastrophe for life on this earth, the fossil fuel industry used some of the money that they were able to get doing the business that they do to spend killing this idea of climate change. Not just kill this idea. They knew about this more than 40 years ago. They did their own studies and their own research. And the scientists came back and said, hey, we're going to disrupt the climate on this planet. And ExxonMobil did what any good capitalist would do, who was trying to maximize their profit, even at the expense of life on planet Earth. They buried the report and spent billions of dollars attacking the science. Why would something like this, that's a scientific issue, become a political football? Is because you have certain parties with a lot of money that has invested their money in political parties. And those political parties are not going to do anything about it. They're beholden to certain interests. And until that interest is broken, nothing takes place. The media howled at the top of their lungs with Donald Trump making any level of coming to Jesus with Russia and Putin. Oh, look at him debasing America. He's debasing America. Oh, he's so tiny and small in the face of a real man. They went after him. But the scientific consensus, meaning the bar of reality, says we are destroying life on this planet. We are making life inhabitable on this planet. We are destroying our habitable space. And they say this with much greater and greater reverence. Or not reverence is the word, but reverberation. It gets louder as the years go on. Why doesn't the media scream about that? Extinction. Armageddon. We're destroying ourselves. We're killing ourselves. Why aren't they screaming about that? Life on planet Earth is going extinct, but they're looking at Donald Trump and they're saying that this is, for some degree, is the thing that needs to be talked about as opposed to an extinction level event. Us. Destroying us. But apparently, that doesn't necessarily meet the bar for media coverage. It's not Armageddon because we can't do anything about it. It's Armageddon because we won't do anything about it. It's a difference in those things. It is either disinteresting or it is either something that we can't necessarily organize it around to get people involved. I don't know what it is. But recycling and throwing a can in the container doesn't do anything. That's a worthless thing that just makes you feel better. Real action in this has to come from a governmental, organized level. In my head, governmental level. Because otherwise, how do you handle a situation where private interests, in their own self-interest, to maximize their profit, is willing to say, fuck the world. I gotta get mine. I need a third jet. I need a third jet. I'm not balling without the third jet. Sorry, the world has to die. My bad. Isn't capitalism great? The world is coming to an end, and they're trying to make their profits. Wow, there's people here this early on a Saturday. Why? Oh, Baltazar, you're up. Up next on Mad Al, how Russia caused Armageddon. Oh, that's hilarious. That's hilarious. The universe is doing a pretty damn good job of trying to destroy Earth, pulsars, solar flares, meteors, cosmic radiation, Hillary Rodham Clinton. If that doesn't help, oh man, that's hilarious. The universe. You're adding Hillary Clinton to that thing of the universe. That's fucking hilarious. Alright. I'm going to end this. We're killing ourselves. That's my point. That's my basic, main, only point. We're killing ourselves. And there doesn't seem to be any level of acknowledgement of the fact that we're killing ourselves. Any rational civilization will listen to what these scientists are saying and say, hey, we need to do something about it. But if we're being honest, any rational civilization wouldn't have people living and shitting on the streets. That's just gross. Not to mention, it's completely unnecessary. I'll leave it here. Look at Clemente. Shh, keep it down, Jamal. I'm trying to sleep. That's funny. That's funny. Because my wife has been like, you're too loud. I'm not too loud. Your hearing is just fucked up. What do you mean my hearing is just fucked up? Well, if you weren't just laying there while I'm out here working and doing a job, then you wouldn't be complaining about how much noise I'm making here. Well, that's just a stupid argument. No, it's not a stupid argument. You're a stupid person. Get out of my office. We have those arguments. We have those arguments. Denmark normally has a wet climate. It has not rained for about 2 months now. Crops estimated down about 30-40%. So one of the things with climate change has to do with this idea of droughts in some places, hurricanes in others, this kind of extreme, excessive weather that gets more unpredictable because of the climate. It's almost like it's changing the seasons of the planet itself. More fires. Like it's hard to get across that we are fundamentally changing how we go about our affairs on this planet, and what we've become accustomed to is going to change. You're talking about refugees from the standpoint of the land that's going to be taken over. We don't even know how much water is going to start to be displaced in these storms, because we're getting to the point where we'll have an ice-free Arctic. We're destroying our world. We've built a system where we've chained ourselves to this model of operation. And that model of operation, the way to which we've organized ourselves, is destroying our habitable space. Any argument for a system to which you want to operate in loses if you kill yourself off. And it seems that there are no controls and there are no measures to which to stop the capitalistic system from destroying life on this planet. You buy up the politicians. You buy up the political space. You buy up the thing that's supposed to control the thing that is buying up all those things. Killing ourselves. I ended on that. Alright guys, if you enjoy the content, please feel free to share, like, subscribe, and of course,